Hi, hi, hi.
Hey, what is up, Headhunters, executive recruiters, beautiful people? This is the Heartthrobs in Boxers talking sexy, or or the Headhunters and Boxers talking smack. I think this was the Headhunters and Boxers talking sexy. That was we did that live, I think, a few of our shows until it ran its course. But I figured we bring it back because we have Benjamin Mena as a guest, and he is one handsome fella.
He
Get your
is a
boss
handsome
logo
fella.
out of here, sir. Trying to
I'm
show my
just showing
nerve.
I got my boss garb. That's all. I
Your
just,
boss.
I figured wear it when I go live. Why not? I got a short and a long sleeve version.
Yeah, I need to bring on my Headhunter shirts. I will tell you this though, Ben, he's in the green room right now. We're gonna bring him on in about 10, 15 minutes. He is rocking his hashtag Headhunter shirt, and I may just bring that back. He used to sell them, so he used to sell quite a few of them. But anyway, with that said, let me introduce myself. This is David Stephen Patterson. You guys know me as DSP. This, of course, is my brother from another mother, Neil Levitis. And used to be a big time trainer back in the day. Then he fell
Yep.
off the face of the earth. And once he was released from prison, he came back and is now a force to be reckoned with. Although he has to stay 1,000 meters away from school, so there's that.
Could I say I had a bizarre dream last night? Like I was so happy when I woke up, and I love when those happen. And I guess it came from the Chauvin case, because I was in prison for something that I had no way of getting out of, but I felt like I was a good guy, but I was done, and I was in there for attempted murder, and it was prison, really tiny. And I realized I lost my freedom, and like one day went by forever, and I couldn't imagine it being like more than a year. And then in my head, I had like 15 or 20 years, and you take freedom for granted. And it was like this, except they had like fast food stands. So you can use your money. I'm like, all right, cool. I got money. I could like eat normal here. So I was able to get like, chicken nuggets if I wanted, fries, a little sushi section, but it was disgusting. You were on cots, and some guy was bullying me a little bit. I'm like, I knew that would happen in prison. And I remember watching all the shows. You can't be a target. So you have to fight back. And I got like the shit kicked out of me by two guys. I'm like, this fucking blows. So that was my dream, David. What do you think caused that? I didn't do anything illegal.
Well, yeah, and obviously attempted murder means you failed. So you don't want that stench of failure on you. If you're gonna do it, you at least do it and succeed at it. I will say this: I did see a really funny video. So the saying is, you go to prison, you go find the biggest, baddest looking guy and fight him, kick his ass. Right? That's
right. That's
day.
for you. You won you came in like first place in the strongman competition. Like you're different.
Second place. In all fairness, I second place in the Tilt to Kill Strongman contest. That was 8 years ago, back when I was a beast. But I will say, this video that I saw, it was basically so that rule about where you go up to the biggest, baddest guy in prison first day and you beat him, right? So this video shows this guy. He's big, burly. It's like mean looking guy, and he's like, I'm so tired of getting beat up every time somebody comes into the jail. I'm really a nice guy. It's just I'm really big, and everybody wants to beat me up on their first day. Why can't they just talk to me?
Could you imagine me trying that? I would never I'd be so done. Hopefully they would have whatever I did. Hopefully they put me in minimum security, even if I was total maximum. I'm a classic New York Jew. I've been in 4 fights my whole life. I could count them. I didn't initiate any of them. They were all you know what I mean? I'm not winning second place. Look, and I hold my own. You know what I mean? I'm no worse than a lot of guys, but I'm not coming in second place in a strongman competition. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Neil's referring to a memory that I posted up on Facebook from 8 years ago, back when I was in the Tilt Kill Strongman competition. It was a strongman style CrossFit comp, and I got second place in that because I was pretty beastly back in the day.
Yeah, but you had those strongman shorts on that show the giant hamstrings going on. Yeah. It was sexy for the show, David.
It was a lot of sex. A lot of sex. I will tell you this though, Neil. Let me ask you a question. So when you're in a fight, you mentioned you've been in a fight like 4 times in your life. When you're in a fight, do you swing your purse like all the way through? Is that how you what's your style?
I scratched the dickens out of him, David.
The Dickens.
Those scratch marks are going to take weeks to heal.
Do you take your keys and put them through your fingers and create that? It's really ineffectual actually. But do you do that? Is that your
I
move?
do. I do. I put the keys in the middle. I scream like a little choir boy. Uh, I held my own in the defensive fights. Well, one was a brawl in a fraternity, and everyone just started punching each other next to us. So, I wasn't. I'm a lover, not a fighter. But again, I didn't get hurt. Once I got sucker punched in elementary school, and by this friggin' wimp that just got all pissed at me, and he sucker punched me. Who does that in elementary school? And I got this gigantic welt on my face. That was my first one. And then another guy was all drunk and came at me, and I did like you do in the movies. I just said, you know what, like, I'm just gonna go nuts with like 4 punches, like really fast, right to his face, and knock the guy down. And then I was in a boxing match with someone. I never boxed in my life. I was knocked out. Like, I've never boxed in my life. Like, oh, this looks fun. Give me the gloves. Let's get in and we'll do our thing. And this guy boxed a little bit. I had no idea how hard that was, and exhausting. I was friggin' exhausted at like 1 round.
Man,
so anyway, I know I'm appealing to all the ladies out there. This is good strategy as a single lady.
Well, now for many people who don't know this show is actually about recruiting and recruiting training and techniques and interviewing guests. Yet here we are talking fight strategy and fight.
But let's transition that into recruiting, because I'd say we were off for the last couple of weeks, and one of the things I'm seeing is there's still a mindset that the market isn't as strong as it is, meaning clients, they want to do this. Like, I've seen so much. My client wants to extend the guarantee. They only want to pay me for this. They're looking for this discount on this. And we're not in those times anymore. The mindset really needs to be, recruiters are in demand. It's as strong as a market, really, and not as it's ever been, but they need you. They need you. And if you're in any sort of a niche that isn't a commodity, and even the commodity niches, they need you.
I'm kind of with there, but kind of not. I mean, I do agree that it's roaring back in a lot of sectors. A lot of sectors it's not, but at the same time, I think there is increased competition out there. There is a lot of recruiters out there, and just because, let's say,
there's no more. There's no studies that show there are any more recruiters out there. And I know what you're saying. Well, people moved into IT.
No. It's not that. That's what I mean by that. But it's the fact that, okay, let's say, for example, let's say there's a perceived bad economy, right? Let's go with that, right? So what happens when that happens? Recruiters increase their marketing activity, increase the cold calls. They start calling more people. So I think what's going on, whether you see more recruiters or not, you see a lot of increased marketing activity, and I do see that there's increased marketing activity, which means more competition. So I think you have to be smart in how you're going out there getting new business, because again, I think there's more competition, more recruiters, or they felt the sting last year and they don't want to have to go through that again.
Right. But it's still a big mindset, because I still have some, I don't want to call them elite coaching, boutique coaching. I do coaching one-off, especially with my clients if they want to do it for back office staffing solutions. But I do it for others too, because I like to be in the pulse of that stuff. My advice to anyone that has any sort of negotiation when the client's coming back, with every single one of them, and it's worked every single time, is stay firm now. Stay firm. They're bluffing most of the time now. They are hearing it from a lot of people that are pushing back, because a lot of people's plates are too full to give away whatever. And certainly after the fact, like these things that are coming up, there's no need for an after the fact negotiation, meaning you've agreed on 25%, they come in, or 30%, they come in and say, you know what, we can get this, your rates are too high, we want to do this deal, so, what can you do for the rates? And the answer is nothing. And this, in any market, if someone wants your person, they're coming after the fact, you don't have to budge. Your deal's done. It's always a bluff in that case. Do you agree?
No, necessarily. I do. It's a good mindset to have for sure, and to hold your ground. But again, every situation is a little bit different, and some sectors have been hit a lot harder than others.
After the fact, David, if someone agreed to 25% and they like your candidate, in order to make this deal, we need to agree to a $15,000 flat fee.
Okay. Yeah. No. I didn't realize you said after the fact. Of course, after the fact. Yeah. I meant in negotiations, you're going to have negotiations, and you want to, and you don't want to necessarily fold over in a negotiation. You want to get something for what you're offering. If you want to reduce your fee to 25%, then what are you going to get in exchange for it? So all those things are certainly valid, and you want to hold your ground. I didn't realize you said, yeah, of course, after the fact.
Yeah. I mean, when I first got into recruiting, I was taught this. I had like a $30,000 fee. I mean, I'm this kid, my first year in recruiting. And that was giant back in 1988, right? Oh my God, I'm dating myself. I can't believe 88 is 40 years. Anyway, it was massive. And the client came in and goes, no, well, best we'll do is 20. And I'm like, done, whatever. I didn't spend that much time on it. It was kind of one of those easier ones. And my mentor, I always sound like Seinfeld when I say that, but he's like, no, it's 30,000. He's bluffing. And you're going to stay firm. There's no such thing as a second candidate. It's not like, oh, well, we'll go with the other one and because we can get it for 20 grand. And he's like, and I was pissed. And he's like, this is something that you're going to learn and it's going to stick with you the rest of your career. And I'll tell you, it's 40 years later and I'm throwing that quote on.
Yeah.
So on the vein of what you just said, David, there's a lot of posts too, where I see clients are willing to, like, what fee would you go down to? And too many times, to your point, I see these groups saying, don't lower your fees. Your rock bottom, don't know it. And these type 25%. And that to me, it's such a silly answer because anything you can do that can double your chances of making the deal is like doubling your fee. Meaning, right? If let's say my bottom's 20, and I'm not saying that should be your bottom. And some clients, I'll tell you, I'll do 15 if we gives you the exclusive. There was just a post yesterday. Again, there was like 4 of these in the last couple of weeks. And everyone's saying, don't drop below this. Don't drop. And I'm like, of course you should drop below that if you want to. If they're really going to give you an exclusive at, let's say, 15%, you're much better. You're equal than if there was just you and one other at a 30% fee in terms of expected value, in terms of what you're going to earn. If they're willing to pay them up front,
no, right? But no, I agree with you. And so I think what it comes down to is, so in the recruiting world, you get a lot of very trite answers. So, for example, how do I go get new clients? Get on the phone. What's your differentiating factor? My differentiating factor is me. Never go below X%. And so what happens is, it's kind of like telling somebody who's out of shape, get to the gym. Okay, but what do I do? Like, how do I, and there's a lot more to that. And I think when people talk about never lower your fees, what does that mean? Like, do you know how to justify having a higher fee, right? Because candidly, when you're looking from a client's perspective or a prospect's perspective, they have 5 firms and they all look exactly the same. They're probably going to go with the cheapest one or the one that makes the most sense financially, unless you know how to differentiate yourself truly without just saying, well, it's me, because what does that really mean to anybody? Right. Nothing, right? You being the differentiator only means something to your grandma and your mama because they love you. To the rest of the business world, they don't give a shit about you. How can you differentiate yourself to justify it? So I think it's a matter of, you can get the bigger fees out there and higher rates, but you gotta learn how to justify it without just saying, because if you just say I'm never working below 30%, that's fine, and you will get.
It's not fine. There's no absolutes in business. Yeah, I don't think it's fun. I think the mindset is perfect.
Differentiate.
I think the mindset of I'm worth it and you're going to pay me is unbelievable, and you need that for the authority, for all that. But all the client cares about, right? Their biggest thing with you is fee. It's no skin off their back to guarantee that if you work this contingency, that they're going to at least see 2 of your people. That doesn't cost them anything. For you, it doubles your chance. It increases your chances of a placement 30%, 50%, 70%, whatever. That's worth money to you as a recruiter, right? If they're willing to give you an exclusive, a true one, and not use anyone else, that's worth money to you as a recruiter. You can share that back.
But justify it, right? Because you want to be able to justify that. Why should they do that if they've been using contingency in the past? And maybe it's worked out, maybe it hasn't. What's the justification for, again, being exclusive, higher rate? And so I always like to talk about how you can upgrade a client. Like you provide other additional services or longer guarantee, or maybe teach them about the dangers of using a bunch of contingency recruiters, because that is not very effective and can lead to a lot of very bad things. Well, our clients don't know that, right? And so I think a lot of it comes down to, I think what you say is very, very true, provided that you have the firepower to be able to
Right,
justify
right.
it.
And what are some great nuggets? And we could probably bring in Ben and talk about that too, right, Benjamin? But
Yes, it's bringing Ben.
yeah,
To
let's
talk
bring him
about
in because
that.
this is a great topic for him to chime in on. So you like
All
this
right.
our new format? We got a green room, and now we bring in our guest. That's
Here
what
we go. All right, Ben. Here we ready? Here we go. There he is.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Hey,
There
real quick,
he is.
representing.
Benjamin Mena. Oh, one of the old school shirts, man. For those who don't know, Benjamin Mena, he's not only a really good looking fella, right? Really handsome fella. He also has great taste in shirts. This shirt is one of my original #Headhunter shirts. Then there have been other ones I've sold since then, but that was the original from like what, 2 years ago?
Something like that. You need to do another Merc drop soon.
Yeah, I need to.
And you know what else? Besides being handsome, I am jealous of how long that 5 o'clock. So that's a real 5 o'clock shadow you got going
Pretty
on.
much.
Right.
Pretty
So
much.
that's just from yesterday.
Maybe a day ago, but it's so fast.
I mean, this is fine. At least I wasn't able to do this like in high school or college, but I always wanted, like, I even got those like 5 o'clock shadow shavers, but I got all these bald spots. So I don't get that. I always wanted that. Like that's kind of GQ look and I'm jealous of that, Benjamin.
Give me about a week and a half, and I'll look like DSP with a full beard.
Oh man, that is manly. This testosterone is dripping through that shirt right now.
All right, so Benjamin, what's your take on what we've been talking about? You're a strong recruiter. You bring a lot of value to these people. What's your view on it?
There's some, I kind of like lean both ways. If you can show the value, like absolutely get it. But if you can get some exclusivity, like we have kind of some variants of what we actually do with our clients.
Exclusivity. What are you, George Bush? Some of that there. Exclusivity. No, exclusivity, Benjamin.
But there's also I know, like I see it in the groups too. Like people like sitting there always talking about fees, don't go down. But then if you have like a real conversation with them, with those people that are saying don't go down, they depending on a client and depending what it is, they'll move it around. But what a lot of people that are posting about this are typically like willing to go down to something like 10%, which is just absolutely insane.
Totally.
Oh, yeah,
it's also absolutely insane to have even on the temp side. But I don't go below a 60% markup. Why? You should be getting an 80 or 90 when you can, and sometimes you need to do a 40. Absolutes are easy. Absolutes are easy. Drawing a line in the sand makes business easy, but you lose a lot of business. You make more if you're strategic.
I think one of the things that like we always forget about in these Facebook groups and these Facebook posts is like a quick post doesn't tell the entire story of the question. So a very basic question gets a very basic answer.
Yeah. So what are some of the nuggets? You said it, and David said it too, providing value. What are the selling points to the client to use you? Like we could all throw them out because there's a lot of them, and people need to master everyone needs to know how, when you don't just ask for an exclusive, because as David said, what's in it for them? Like, why are they going to do that? So what are some of your nuggets? And we'll all go around, and share, make sure we got all great ones for the viewing audience.
I mean, when it comes to like that kind of stuff, like an exclusive is actually bringing the candidates potentially to the table already. Like having my network that I'm able to show value, and you're like, hey, I already got somebody that's ready to be submitted. So let's actually talk the numbers.
Right. I use, or I would train in the day, the same as you would almost use for a retainer, right? And explain to them that it's not in their benefit to use 5 recruiting firms. Or to use 3. It's not. If they just lose with it. If you could find 2 or 1, if you used to be exclusively, here's what happens. It's not going to be a race to submittal, which if you use 2, that's what you're going to get. I'm not saying I'll do that because I'm special, but you don't want that. Why do you want someone like whatever source to worry about, well, what if they're in there? And then you start having to do your own screening, right? So things like that, right? David, you got some nuggets.
Yeah, a big part of it is explaining or focusing on what they've done in the past. So in sales, and this is really a key concept just in general in sales that I think a lot of recruiters forget is that what you sell, like the thing that you have, like the features, right, provide a benefit. All a benefit is just the alleviation of a pain. And of course, we help alleviate pain in terms of filling a gaping hole on their team. But what if every time they had to get people on our team, they've gone to their list of recruiters, and it's gone okay. Once in a while they hire a good one, then they hire a bad one, and then the service isn't that great, and so what happens is a lot of times these clients, it's they're expected. They expect recruiters to be kind of like, you know what I mean? And so, but they don't know there's a better way, right? It's so a lot of that comes down to in the sales call and just in your marketing collateral and your messaging, et cetera, is focusing on, okay, so the reason why it's always seemed to you that the recruiters represent the candidate and not the client, even though you're the one paying the bill, it's actually because of this. And so if you ask those questions in like for example, a sales call or taking a job order, let me ask you on the last 5 positions you've recruited for, these types of roles, have you used how many recruiters? Okay, I'm curious. Has this ever happened to you? Has that ever happened to you? Or for example, for the guarantee, at what point do you know that someone's going to be a mishire typically within your team? 6, 7 months. Okay. And you're using recruiters with a 90-day guarantee. How does that help you? Right. And so educating them like that and getting those aha moments, that is what gets you.
Right, because they're not the experts in this space. So they feel that an abundance of talent pool is an advantage to them, and it's a disadvantage to them. We know that. We know that if we have an exclusive and they have some skin in the game, we know that the recruiter's going to work harder and spend extra time than something that they're going to cross their fingers and compete against 4 people. Your clients don't really think that way. So the job of a recruiter is to educate them and to sell, so that it's all benefit to them. It's all pain points to them. It all is. The pain point is you're wasting all this time, or you're getting mediocre talent, or whatever the case is. It won't happen if we do an exclusive. And that's why it's great for an exclusive. Listen, give me a 2-week or 1 month exclusive. I got to deliver. If I don't, you won't use me again. But this way you get all the benefits of it. I get a benefit of it for the obvious reasons. And we have a win-win here. What
I like to do as well is actually doing a bridge. So for example, let's say your new higher level service involves maybe a longer guarantee. There's other things that you do that you may not necessarily do on a regular contingency search. Is you got this thing that you're selling, right? And you're selling to somebody who uses, again, contingency search. They never paid an engagement fee before, or maybe it's one of those things where it's like for a developer. Why do I pay an engagement fee on a developer? Oh, it's a critical position. You should, but they're still not sold. Oftentimes, you can take that service and say, look, on a one-time basis only, because we're so confident in our capabilities, we'll bring you into our program. You don't have to pay anything down, but there is exclusivity for a month or 2 months or what have you. Knowing that once you go through our system, once you go through our process, believe me, you will never want to go back. And next time, you will not hesitate paying an engagement fee, because you'll know, guaranteed, in 1 month or 2 months later, you're going to have a top performer at your desk. I think a lot of times you can use that exclusive type search just as a bridge to get them sold. Because once you have, look, if you have a new higher level offer and you start selling it and you don't have any tracker, you have no case studies, etc., you got to get some. Once you get 2 or 3 or 4 clients that have gone through your system, we'll give you testimonial, we'll do a case study. Your future clients don't have to know that they never actually paid an engagement fee for that.
Right, and the engagement fee, and Ben, maybe you have some ideas. The engagement fee or an exclusive are just 2 of the things that increase your likelihood. The engagement fee or co-tainer or just a partial fee, especially if there's multiple positions and you think, all right, I'm gonna at least make one of these if it's continuous. So let's pay 1 fee up front and here's what you get out of it, right? But there are so many other ways that we can, or you can as a recruiter, increase your likelihood, triple, double, 50% greater chance of making a deal. As we said, seeing my people, right? At least seeing 2. Why? Because I'm going to invest a lot of time. There's no skin in the game on you. We're not asking you for an exclusive. You're not putting money up front. But if you do that, at least it's time worthwhile, and we can assure you that you're going to get the best candidates and be prioritized, which is true. The prioritized search sounds like a cliche, not if you explain it. That's just how it works.
But thing is, you can't be self-serving, because what I hear a lot of times is that how it's taught is, if you want a retainer or an engagement fee, you basically in essence say, well, I'm busy, I've got no availability, yada yada, but it's take it or leave it. And that's one way to do it. But I'd rather sell them the engagement fee as a benefit, right? Here's actually what you get. You get this, you get this, you get this, you get this. The longer guarantee, or you get that, you get this. And I think doing that, especially if you educate them on, or if you find out, look, in the last 5 positions, 10 positions were recruited on, this bad thing happened, and it continues to happen, right? It's not just bad recruiters, it's the structure that you're using. And again, I think it's having those aha moments is what gets you to that next level, or at least gets the client to that next level and realize, oh, maybe I should do more.
Sorry, that's my phone ringing off the hook.
Oh, man.
Yeah, my phone's ringing off the hook. It always seems, oh my God. Sorry.
At least ADSP, at least in the cleared space, you know, a lot of our customers understand the type of stuff that actually goes into a candidate actually crossing the finish line. And it's one of the things like I learned early on, like when it comes to like a full scope poly, 100% contingency is probably a way for you not to get paid in 9 months. Just because of how long a clearance crossover takes, the different things that can happen. You know, just numerous things that are just outside of the company's like realm, and just sometimes you just can't hold on to a candidate for some reason. A CI poly doesn't flip over to a CI poly somewhere else. So like we don't use the word like truly engagement fee, but we kind of have a hybrid model that we're still paid no matter what, whether we place it and we make more and that person starts and we make a lot more, but we're making sure that we're getting paid, you know, as we're doing the work too.
Which again, people I think ultimately would want that. So how about like using Zoom calls? Like there's a bunch of people that use that where it was just like the employer when it was local, an in-office interview. If you're working on a local search, we know that increases your chances of making a deal more than double. You control the debrief, you get the questions that they're asking, you get to prep the candidate with exactly what they need to say to get the job. And there are people taking advantage using Zoom technology and using the meeting rooms and the breakout rooms and moderating that. So again, anything like that is the same thing as sticking to a higher fee. I'd rather do that at a 20% fee every time than get a 25 or 30% fee that just goes into the bucket of a normal contingency search that's on our list. Right. So there's just so many things, anything you can do that increases your odds of making a placement is money in your pocket. And again, the client just cares about the money. Why wouldn't they? If they're really committed to it, why wouldn't they do that? What's the skin off? In fact, there's benefits. And we're not going into that now. You need to sell them on the benefits of doing that. Here's what's in it for them, of us orchestrating it. Back to back, get to really compare them, get to have a neutral sort of setting, get to have the same setting for everyone. Everything's the same. You get to really assess. We're going to give you instant feedback. You'll be able to change and tailor all of that great stuff, right?
Yeah, but thing is, at least if you're going to go down like that, have some nuance behind it, have a reason behind it, and get some benefit out of it. When I hear advice like just go 10%, just go out there and get business, it's like one of the worst, you know, because you're going to stop because unless you're doing it strategically for a reason, and you're going to be stuck in that mentality.
Listen, if anyone's in a group that says you should sell 10% fees, remove yourself from the group unless you're totally new and you're learning how to use some basic technology to spam people. And I'm not mocking it, because there are people that make 6 figures. There are recruiters making 6 figures doing that in some groups.
Oh man,
it's a fucking joke. And it's okay in the beginning. Once you realize, all right, I got the mailing thing down, I've got my octopus and my GMAS, and I got all that crap, start getting your worth for the things. Because if you're going to get 10%, you could sell 20 or 25 or 30, and you could work on a third of the searches and be much more productive. There's no scale.
If you plan on doing this for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, increase your knowledge, increase what you're doing, increase in learning your specialty, and get past that 10%.
And learn how to really sell. I think most recruiters, most firms in general, they don't really know how to sell, right? They know how to recruit, because recruiting is not that hard. I mean, I always say, look, you know, call a VP with a really fat job and call that VP, no problem. But most recruiters would not want to call that same VP to pitch their services, right? Recruiting is always, in my mind, always easier, but where to make the most money is if you're really focused on learning good sales, good marketing techniques.
Of course.
And business, that's where the money's made. Although I will say this, just as a little side note, Neil, I was feeling the heat, what you were saying here a few minutes ago. It was getting a little spicy.
What was I saying?
For the folks who are in the know.
Oh, is that too spicy?
It was a little spicy. That's fine.
Listen,
You know,
but honestly, I think I'm against some of the MO that certain groups profess. I think it's snake oil. I do.
You know what? It's great to learn, but it's not great for the long term.
Right.
Yeah, it's good to break in.
If you go after someone with an email saying, use me because I'm offering a third of the rates of everyone else, you get what you ask for. And these are the same people that post nonstop. I've got a client now that wants to lower it and they're not paying me. What do you think is going to happen when someone replies to you because they don't care about quality and you appeal to them because it's strictly on a money basis? What do you think that's going to lead to?
And real quick, like I saw somebody comment saying, "Stop judging my 10% fee." Like I've had, we just turned down a client here in DC that wanted a 10% on a full scope poly. It's somebody with a TSSCI and a full scope poly to support the CIA. F that, man.
Listen, no, dude. I mean, if they're going to pay you that 10% up front, and you're going to limit that to only those deals, you can make a lot of money. I think 10% nuts.
Not for that kind of work, though.
No.
Now, I will say this though. I will say this. So there is, so I spoke about bridging, right? You have this high level offer you have, but you haven't really sold it before. No one's really actually used it. So you bridge people in with, let's say going exclusive on a one-time basis, and the next time just to prove your capability. Now I can see for fresh newbies who have no experience, no sales background, no marketing background, never recruited somebody in their life. And they're trying to just break in. It's kind of like if you're a nerd, you're a young guy, never talked to a girl ever. You want a girlfriend, right? We're not going to get one right away, right? Just by being yourself. No, go talk to people and go talk to people that are even old grandmas. Just get used to talking to people, get used to interacting, build those social skills, and then you can start actually going out there, be on the market, and being attractive. It's the same thing for recruiters. I think a lot of people that get fresh into the business, let's say they go work for a firm that's established. Okay, that's different, but they're starting from their kitchen table. They got no experience. They got no nothing. I could see where maybe used as a way to break in the door, but there is that trap of.
What do you think the failure rate is on that sort of strategy? And now, granted, you can't go by groups because those that made $100,000 when they're making 25 in a warehouse before, it's a home run. You don't hear from the 90% that say I suck. Well, you do hear some. I'm frustrated. It's not working. Yeah. But what's the failure rate? And it's got to be massive.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's massive, but there's a large failure rate already in our industry too. It's,
not
you have to keep on, not
90%,
but you just have to keep on learning the craft, as you never have to, you can never stop learning in this space.
Yeah. And don't be stuck where you're at. I mean, I started in this business and not doing actual search, but I started working for Labor Ready. I was placing homeless dudes out of construction sites and waste dumps and doing cleanup in warehouses. And I just worked my way up, and we sold on price. Or there was no quality there. It was all price and very low margin.
It becomes a commodity. But when you're at a Labor Ready, you can at least make some money or learn the craft doing it. You're on your own, working out of your office. What are you going to learn doing?
Well, we can learn from other trainers. You can learn. There's lots and lots of groups out there.
Agreed.
But I think it can be a place for somebody to start if they're not working for a firm.
Join many groups and be careful, right? There was a trainer that in one of these groups has sent out things that competition is all in your head. Stop looking at, you don't compete with anyone but yourself. That's what a bunch of nonsense. You don't need an education. That's all wasted. Put your money into recruiting. Like, this is scary stuff, I think. For people, like, I think everyone needs to be broad. It'd be exposed to lots of different ideas and trainers. And as Benjamin said, constantly improve your craft, right? And there's competition, and you need to be very aware of it. And you need to get yourself better than the competition and show why they should use you versus the competition, because competition is not in someone's head. It's not. Mm-hmm. Sorry. I'm passionate about this stuff. I get everyone's stuff, right? And there's a lot of oil out there is all I'm saying.
Is there a specific group you're talking about there, Neil?
I'm sorry?
Is there a specific group that you're talking about there, Neil?
There is. There's one, but there's two people I'm referring to right now. But there's one, and anyone could do the math, but that's all. Be careful.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, like I said earlier, it's great to learn, but you keep on growing. My background, I wasn't hiring homeless people to work, but started agency at Aerotech, spent a few years. I had a great time there. Went internal for a while, for probably like a good decade before going out on my own. And so real quick, I have to throw a plug in for DSP. Like, hey, thank you for your early stuff. That actually helped me do the official jump.
Well, you know what's amazing, Benjamin? You are so good and so successful, and I see you all the time, like referring people to David or someone else. Like you really take the new stuff, and you're not an old dog that you can't teach a new trick to. And I think that's obviously one of the reasons for your success.
I like to have fun too.
And I will say this, Ben, you've been one of my biggest cheerleaders for a long time, and that is very much appreciated. Because you were one of the OGs from way back then when I first started training. You were one of the very few OGs. And for those of you who aren't clued in, that means original gangsta, not gangster, gangsta. Because I'm pretty hip with it. I watch MTV Raps, so I know the hip.
But yeah, no. But this is a space where, like, if you're out on your own, if you own a firm, if you're in charge of other recruiters, like you have to, keep on honing your craft, and you have to keep on like working on getting better every single week. I mean, that's actually, if you want to get laugh, that's one of the reasons why I started interviewing people for like my podcast was, I wanted just other people to hear the stories of these top recruiters and some of the things that you learn from, so that way you can get better. Because unless you expose yourself to other people that are like doing as well or even better than you, like you can kind of like put yourself in a little hole. And
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. When I first got into recruiting, like search, especially when I started my first firm back in 2004, there was no online community. There's no Facebook communities. There's no LinkedIn. There's no LinkedIn at all, actually. And I feel like I was on an island. I had a couple of books from like Steve Finkel, like Breakthrough Recruiting or whatever, and then Bill Ray was another one. I had a book from him, and now it's kind of about some MRI training. But now, yeah, I mean, I don't care if you're an old dog, but if you're not willing to go and learn new tricks and learn from all the people that are, because we're in a way, we're kind of crowdsourcing recruiting, right? And you think about it, we're crowdsourcing knowledge through this. And if you're not taking part in it, man, you are really missing out, really missing the boat. But
I mean, my first recruiting job, I was like 2 months in, and they sat me down and they're like, "Hey, nobody wants to work with you. You're probably going to get fired." So,
were you handsome?
And I was just like, yeah, I was like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm making you guys told me to make 75, 80, 100 calls a day doing that. Like, they're just like, you suck. So I sat down and kind of like, luckily in my office, I had some of the top recruiters in that agency or that company, Aerotech, actually sitting in my office. And I really started mapping out. I was like, hey, what do you do? Like, can I take you to lunch? Can I like pick your brain? And like really just learning the structure of success in recruiting at that point from them. And, if it wasn't for that, I'd probably be one of those people that, would have burned through like 5 or 6 agency jobs and would have left the recruiting career as a whole.
Yep.
And it was just like, you have to like, get better and learn your craft for you to get better in this space.
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh shit. We have our news. All right. Let me get to the video. Here we go.
The date,
all right, Neil,
oh my God. The date, April 23rd, 2021. This just in, Lynn Vaughn ate pasta for lunch. Biggest news breaking today. We need to know what kind of pasta it was, and that's exciting. So in the news, lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff. I mean, I always bring up the temp stuff, not to be self-serving, because back office staffing solutions help you employ temporary employees when you normally can't. We take on the workers' comp. We do everything as the employer of record. That's not why. But you always give your plug at the end and you start seeing the numbers. We go down from literally tens of viewers down to singles, like 4 viewers.
I don't need to plug.
Oh, please. There was one show where it was the David Hour. It was just nonstop plug. Anyway, temp hours is a great indication of the overall hiring and certainly is a leading indicator for search. Hours are up now. U.S. temp hours across the board for the week ending 2 weeks ago, which the stats just came out, they were up 26% year over year. And this was on stuff processed through Bullhorn and back office. IT, healthcare, and finance now increased 30% increase. That's a massive increase. Commercial staffing, which in the beginning was leading some of the recovery, industrial, right? And then you could also put, office, clerical, volume stuff in there, up 24%. So it's great. I mean,
is it up from last year, or what's the time frame here we're talking about?
This is 2 weeks ago. No,
but it's up from. Is it from last year though? So this year's numbers up from.
It's from the same time a week ago. From the same time last year, but it's a lot. It's a lot because it didn't decrease that much. So we're up overall from previous trends, from pre-COVID levels on the temp side of the business.
Oh no, the demand is certainly there. I mean, I just somebody on a search firm within the SAP space. We see a lot of demand. I mean, there's a ton of demand out there if you're in the right space, and things like IT and healthcare and biotech and pharma. I mean, look, the job market is really, really healthy. Unless you're hospitality.
And look, IT, there's a lot of IT recruiters in your group, right? And you guys do it. IT employment is now strong. It's not, so if you want to look at pre-COVID levels, TechServe Alliance, one of the news stories, shows that the IT employment they expect within 2 months will reach pre-COVID levels. Now, if you remember pre-COVID, it was crazy. It was as strong as the market gets. So we're talking seeing massive increase in IT. It's already up like 0.5%, in terms of what it was pre-pandemic, but it's virtually flat. It's slightly down, and it's been growing now for 8 months. Uninterrupted, as they say, and 30 to 60 days, we should be seeing levels above where we were on IT at the most robust period that we've seen in decades. I think that's amazing.
Well, so all right, Ben, let me ask you this. So Neil always likes to self-serve by bringing up temp news.
Because it's an indicator of the market. If they're hiring temps at that rate or above it, search is right there. Search follows it like every time. Every time.
But let me ask you, and you're right. I'm just giving you crap because it's fun for me. It's my hobby. But Ben, so are you doing temps at all?
Don't do temps. Just direct. Direct, yeah.
What?
Just direct.
Just direct, no temps. Okay.
No temps.
Now, is the reason why you're not? So let me ask you this. So as there are people out there that do direct and don't work on the temp side or the contracting side or what have you, right? So I'm curious, what's holding you back from that?
So the biggest reason for that, at least in my space, is I would actually be setting myself up as a subcontractor for a lot of these organizations. And, the joys of supporting the federal, like the federal government in my space, when there's a shutdown, it's typically the small players that are the ones like stuck, footing the bills. And like a lot of the stuff that I also, and I know Neil's going to say something, but I support a lot of stuff in the heavily cleared space. And that means I got to start working with the FSO, I have a lot more freedom with our business and control over the life that I want to live working in the direct hire space in there.
That's a good point. And I will say this. So it's not quite the same as in your space, but in the SAP side, there was a time. So I've done a lot of contracting in the SAP side of things, and we're doing it now again. But I do remember there's a time where I said I'm just sick of it because I was sick of dealing with. I made a lot of money doing it, but I was sick of just dealing with contractors. Dealing with payroll, and obviously I know Neil handles a lot of the back office there. But I know there was a time where I just was sick of dealing with it. But I think if I doing it again, I think if you maybe bring in again, not for you, Ben, because your situation is a little bit different, but I think you bring in, say, an admin or somebody to handle all the paperwork, or say somebody like Neil, because at the time I was doing my own payroll, I was funding it, I was doing all the paperwork and all the insurance and all that, which is a pain in the butt.
Well, total pain in the butt. Total.
Yeah, I just you don't laugh too hard. I just hate writing, and at least becoming holding contractors in the GovCon space, like you have to put in a lot of proposals. Like it's not like having a conversation with the government. It's like you're competing with 40 other companies by putting together everything in like a 10-page document and why you're the best and with the lowest cost, and hopefully you're lucky to win.
Yeah, I mean, and that space is a bit unique too, because you really need to specialize on it. You got to get the temps and the contractors that have the clearance. What you need to do on the search side too. But then you get into, well, they want the employer to have the clearance too, which is a EOR, which there's none of them that I know that actually have it. So there's lots of headaches in that space to go that route, for sure. So, all right. So other news stories. This was a poll, and this was done by Hofstra. But more than 80% of middle market CEOs, which is a lot of the clientele of a lot of recruiters, are going to allow partial remote work after the pandemic. And that number continues to increase from all the polls that we see. But that's 82% said they're going to allow a pretty decent amount of that in some capacity. How cool is that? I mean, we knew that was kind of coming, but everything you see, every poll, yeah.
But there's an issue there as well. I mean, so I've got several clients who actually they're encountering this issue where they have clients who want people to come back to work, and now candidates, a lot of them are not interested in that. They want to work remote. They're used to it. And there's while there's a lot of companies are coming back, are allowing remote, or at least partial remote. I think that is, for a lot of recruiters moving forward, that is going to be one of the really big pain points that companies have, is that they have expectations of people coming back to work. Candidates want to work remote. How do you bridge that gap? I think as a recruiter, you should probably, if you're going out there trying to get new business, have an answer for that. Like what can you do as a service to help bridge that gap, right?
I mean, jumping on that, I think I saw a recent poll recently that 75% of candidates are actively, like semi-actively looking for jobs right now, and 50% are willing to quit outright. And a lot of it is because what you're talking about of, the companies are wanting these people to come back into the office, but the candidates are like, hey, I've been doing this for a year. I can do my work.
Totally.
100%. Yeah.
Want to hear another interesting stat from that survey, David? This is all you. Your reaction to this is going to be priceless. Okay, 45% of these same CEOs, mid-market, said if it's illegal, they are going to require their employees to be vaccinated against COVID-19. What do you think of that? Yep, 45%. 36 said they're going to offer incentives. So that means that 81% of these people they want to have a strict COVID policy. 45 said if they can get away with it legally, they will require it. David?
I do find it very odd that there's a certain segment of the political sphere that for many, many years we talk about individual rights and liberty and corporations not stepping on our rights. And I find it very odd that in the last couple of years, now it's like, they're a private company, so who am I to say?
Right, but shouldn't they have a right now? So you think it's liberal companies? I would assume that they are, right? They're left companies that are doing that.
It's a dollars and cents thing, right? It's like, you can have a company that brings in a D&I head and is being super woke, right? But doesn't necessarily mean they really believe that. No, it's a dollars and cents thing, because there's a certain segment of the population that's extremely vocal, and they understand that let's put the rainbow flag on the thing so we sell more of the thing, so we don't get.
But requiring someone's not. That's different. I think I agree with you, and there's a lot of that, and it's tough to tell, whatever, and there's political correctness. But this is requiring internal employees to do it. They're doing that because obviously they feel strongly that they need that for a safe work environment. My take in capitalism in general is let them do it. If people don't want to work there because of it, they're going to pick somewhere else. If it's legal, which it might be very much, because they're talking about it. And yes, someone just wrote, if a woman's on birth control, she's at risk from dying, so it won't be legal. They'll make exceptions to it, right?
So, but here's one issue, right? HIPAA. What about HIPAA laws, right? There's certain medical information that you don't have to share, that is private. And so I'm a big believer in individual liberty and in privacy and
work for someone else if you don't like it. If it's legal, work somewhere else. Don't work for the company that has that policy. Let them pay the price or have a safer workplace.
The same argument could be made for, okay, let a company discriminate.
Well, yeah.
I'm not saying they should, but you could make the same argument with. So I think a lot of people basically forget their principles and they go with whatever they want, right? So companies should not discriminate based on X, but unless the political winds change.
But you know what? But somewhere in the spectrum, and let me play devil's advocate. Should a company be able to have sexual jokes. If you work for a boss like a Rudin who's throwing baked potatoes at people, don't work for him. Don't work for him. He's allowed to throw baked potatoes without hurting anyone on the floor. If the guy's a hothead, he'll get a reputation for it. His productions on Broadway will suffer, right? So again, I do think that there's a natural, I think regulations, and we're getting a bit off the topic, but I think that they should self-police to a degree. Discrimination is,
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I will say that when it comes right down to it, I think it's consistency, right? Is if you can't discriminate based on certain characteristics, and I'd say let's stick medical things in there as well, or give company free range or really free associate with who they want, how they want, and whatever. But I think a lot of times what happens is just people are opportunists, and they will. They support corporations doing a certain thing if it fits with their their core ideas, and they won't if it doesn't. And I think people just don't follow those principles. So for me personally, I'm not a big fan of requiring vaccinations. I'm going to get mine eventually. Once I kind of wait and see how everybody else is doing with theirs, right? But at the same time, I don't think it's something that should be required. That's my personal opinion on that. And there it is. Yeah, you were right. I did have a big reaction to that.
No, I knew you would when I was preparing the news for today, which we know I do that a week in advance. And
it's a good one.
He's like, this will get DSP going. Click.
We would get to see his ultimate DSP-ness. 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 Yeah. So anyway, that's the news for today on April 23rd, 2021.
All right, folks, we are running a little bit over, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. Benjamin Mena, I really appreciate you being on the show. You've been a supporter of mine for a very, very long time. Again, you're an OG, and your shirt proves that, so I really appreciate it. Thank you, Ben, for being on the show. And if you want to plug anything, now is a good time.
I guess I actually run a podcast called the Elite Recruiter Podcast, interview top recruiters in the space, and we talk about their story, how they became successful, what are they doing, and just learning more about their story.
Where do you broadcast that? How do we find
Apple and Spotify? So
again,
the Elite Recruiter the Elite Recruiter Podcast.
Nice.
Ben, I'd like to go, and it's just audio, right, Benjamin?
Yeah, just audio. Yeah.
Cool.
All right, and that said, Neil, what do you got to plug, man?
I've got just what I already shared. Do temp. We'd love to work with you, but be strong on your negotiations and be smart. That's what I want to plug.
All right, and for me, I'll wrap it up, guys. If you want to take your sales and marketing to the next level, whether you want to build it yourself, which we had to do, go to, I'm frozen here. Go to thedigitalheadhunter.com/assessment. You'll get a price on Accelerator or Tactical. Accelerator is my training program. Tactical is my lead generation program. And with that said, folks, even though I'm frozen, my heart is actually warm with all the love and support of everybody out there. So thank you all, everybody. And we will see you next time. Peace out.
See you next week, everyone.